All rise. The gavel is struck, and for a limited time, the Classic Metal Show is unleashing a rare collection of Judge Aiken merchandise. If you stand with the bold rulings of your favorite metal judge, now is your chance to show it off. From water bottles to t-shirts, these exclusive items won't last long. Get to cmsstore.cmspn.com and claim your Judge Aiken gear before the court is out of session. Court is adjourned.
Hey kids, this is John Corabi from the Dead Daisies, and you, my friends, are watching CMS TV. Turn it up.
We're back on the Seth Williams Show with Chris Aiken.
Yes, we are, man. Well, dude, I saw this story and I immediately thought of you, and I'm sure you're aware of this story, but I think the fans and myself are dying for your take on this.
Uh-oh. No pressure.
Jimmy Malone exits WTAM in Cleveland.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed.
What did you think when you heard this?
First, let me give you my personal take on Jimmy Malone. Jimmy Malone, I met probably 25 years ago.
Okay.
He was working at maybe 20 years ago. He was working at Magic, and I was working down the hall at MMS.
Right.
And there was one morning that I went off on Lanigan.
Okay.
On the morning show, I was hosting mornings at that time, and I was calling him, names and saying he's old and kind of a loser and all this whatever. Management came running down and started screaming at me. You can't say that about Lanigan. I said, well, why not? He's just it's another dude in the building. What do I care?
Yeah.
Well, you can't say that about Lanigan. Who do you think you are? Blah, blah, blah. So whatever. And so they made me go down the hall and apologize to Lanigan.
Ugh.
Now, I didn't apologize for shit, but I went in on his show and I said, they told me to come apologize to you because I said something to you, something about you on the air. And Lanigan made fun of me and called me. He said I look like a tackle box.
Well, hold on. So, yeah. I just because I want to be clear on this story. So you said something about Lanigan. He overheard it, or how did he know?
Management heard it.
Management heard it.
Yeah.
So when you went in to apologize to him, was he aware of it?
I think he was. I mean, I think somebody told him that I was coming down there.
And he expected you to apologize?
I don't know whether he expected it or not. I was just doing what I was told to do.
All right.
We kind of joked about stuff, and I said, I'm sorry if I offended you or anything. And he goes, well, you look like you fell into a tackle box, because I had like piercings in my eyes, and I had like 12 piercings in each ear and all this.
So it was the old man joke in the 90s.
It was the old man joke in the 90s. So after that show, though, Jimmy came up to me and said, don't worry about it, and blah, blah, blah. And Jimmy Malone and I talked probably every single day after that for a very long time. Always said hi, very cordial, and I thought he was just a super duper nice guy.
Okay.
And I have a lot of respect for Jimmy, and he was always friendly towards me. Now, he got this slot, this 9 to 10 slot on TAM.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was after they got rid of Geraldo Rivera.
Right.
Geraldo was doing that slot. And him and the guy that produces his show, they are as left as you could possibly get.
Okay.
Which I thought was just an odd thing. Geraldo was left, but he still had some interesting stories and stuff like that to tell.
Right.
But these two are just way left.
Okay.
I thought it was kind of an odd mix for TAM to have a left-leaning show on there. But Jimmy Malone is one of the nicest guys you're going to meet, and
he's sort of an icon in town as well.
Way icon for radio in this town.
Yeah.
And the fact that they would let this guy go and do it the way that they did, from what I've heard, I mean, he posted something on X saying he wasn't allowed to say goodbye to his fans. I mean, that's bullshit. He's a class act, a nice guy, and the fact that he was let go the way that he was let go, I mean, he was let go like I was let go, which I thought was bullshit too. But to walk a guy out like that, forget about it. He deserved a hell of a lot more than that. I know a couple other guys, the same thing. They weren't allowed to say goodbye to even their friends and fans. And why? I don't know why they got rid of him.
Do you think they walked him like security or HR walked him?
Well, they probably did it like me. Management probably walked him.
Did management walk you? Like you were going to, steal a stapler or something on your way out?
I asked management, because I still had like my book bag like in my studio waiting, because I was going to do a show that day. And I said, can I say goodbye to everybody? And they said no. And management, I mean, I don't give a fuck anymore. Ray actually went and grabbed my book bag and stuff for me. Right. And then they said I could say goodbye to Carmen. And I walked in and I said goodbye to Carmen and walked out. I wasn't allowed to say goodbye to anybody else, and they followed me to the fucking door, dude. Jesus.
I mean, what are you going to do? I mean,
nothing. Exactly. What was I going to do?
That's what I mean. It's like, it's one thing if you were in management's office and you punched Ray in the face or something. Okay, then you get walked out by security.
But
you just lost your job. I mean, what are you going to do? Steal a microphone?
And I'm not like that. And after 20 years, they should know that I'm not like that.
Yeah, and same with Malone. Same with Jimmy Malone.
So I feel really bad for him. He was a classy guy, a nice guy. And I don't know whether...
How old is he?
I don't know.
He's got to be like 65, 70, right?
Yeah. And I was going to say, they seem to have a habit of letting go people that are a little bit older, who probably get paid a little bit more. And
they said I read somewhere that this was part of, on the same day that this happened, that I Suck at Radio announced a $900 million loss for the quarter or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's really bad. I mean,
they're just tanking.
What's so funny about that place is that they will sit there and they will give you, here's the iHeart concert in Vegas with 30,000 people, and they get the biggest stars you can get. I mean, I would imagine Taylor Swift, either they're doing something illegal or they're paying a whole lot of money to these people and we're offering more airplay for going to their iHeart concerts to play for them. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, that's speculation. Obviously, I don't know anything. But I mean, they get all these stars to go out there and they give away $1,000 every hour to a listener and all this bullshit. Yet they can't afford to keep a good staff around them.
Well, yeah. I mean, and not only that, dude. iHeart, and again, you would know better than me. I just kind of watched as a peripheral person, somebody that once worked there a zillion years ago, but it's been so long ago, I don't know any of the players. iHeart the one thing that they do worse than any other big company in the world is hang on to bad ideas that are failing. They will hang on. Look at iHeart as the streaming process. That is a failure. Not that a lot of people don't use it, but that they have 10 million stations on it, which means that they dilute the value of it to nothing. There's no value. I mean, dude, when is the last... We're in the podcasting world right now.
Yeah.
If somebody asks you about the podcast, what do they ask you? Are you on Spotify or are you on Apple?
Absolutely.
Right? That's what they ask. They don't ask you. You've been doing this, 2 years now, roughly?
Yep. Yeah.
How many times have people, after the first, let's say 6 months where people were still associating you with TAM,
Right.
how many times in the last 18 months has people said, hey, well, what about iHeart? I use iHeart all the time.
Never.
Never. No one uses it.
Usually it's always Spotify, really, and then Apple or something like that. But yeah.
But iHeartRadio is into this for $1 billion. Don't they spend $1 billion a year on iHeartRadio, on the streaming platform iHeartRadio? Did I not read that somewhere? That they spend $1 billion with a B every year on this thing. And there's bigger companies out there with smaller overhead. Odyssey, the Odyssey thing. I would say that's bigger than iHeart now, wouldn't you say?
Probably, yeah.
TuneIn is bigger than iHeart.
iHeart promotes the show. Again, I noticed last week.
Well, that's great. And you know what, Habu? You're the first one that's ever told us that. But you know why it's on? And let me pull the curtain back and tell you something. Do you know why it's on iHeart? Because Spotify distributes to iHeart. We distribute through Spotify, and Spotify distributes to iHeart, and Google and Apple and everything else. It's not because iHeart made some commitment to the Seth Williams Show.
Right. Susan says, I won't miss him. Look, I'm not saying... I never listened to his show, so I don't know whether his show was any good or not, or whether it was... I know it was extremely left because I know who produces that show. But I know it was extremely left, but I'm saying as a person, Jimmy is one of the nicest people you're going to meet. And like I said to somebody the other day, I don't care who you are. I don't want anybody to lose their jobs.
No, of course not.
I mean, there's people over there that I still don't like, but I don't want them to lose their gig. I mean, radio is tough enough as it is, much less being treated like crap and fired for no reason.
No. And I mean, he's, however old he is, Jimmy Malone, he's at least in his 60s. I think we can be safe in saying that.
Yeah.
It's hard to go, how does a guy in his 60s or whatever start over? Is he going to be your new co-host? Will he replace me?
Well,
he could be. You and him could bring the world together instead of you and Mike.
Maybe him and Mike will do a show together.
Well, there you go.
But I mean, like, again, I have all the respect in the world for him, but iHeart just treats people like garbage like that. I mean, again, I know people. Maybe it's ageism.
Maybe he might just retire. Now I'm looking at because he's 70.
Yeah, you might want to maybe he'll just hang out. I'm sure he's made a pretty decent living throughout the years on radio. And again, I respect his career and I respect him as a person. Whether you like the show or not, I never listened. But I hope that he does well.
I know there was a time my mom listened to Lanigan and Malone in the morning.
I listened to them back in the day when I was a kid.
What's crazy is that was the competition for Howard Stern.
I know. Well, that's just it. I mean, Howard came along when I stopped listening to Lanigan because I listened to Howard.
Because Howard just mowed him over.
Howard mowed over everybody, though. I mean, Howard.
Yeah, he did. He really did. But
Howard killed MMS, and that's why I was literally on. I think the number is like 12 different morning shows I was a part of because they just kept switching them out because they couldn't find anything that could beat Howard. The problem is they never gave anybody any time to beat Howard.
No, some of those shows that they brought in there were just bad. It was like they were just grabbing people and throwing
Shut
people
up, I was on all of those.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying you. I'm saying the host. Who was the one that was the Ann Punt guy? That guy.
Oh, he Maxwell. He didn't do mornings.
Maxwell.
He did afternoon.
Yeah, but he shouldn't have been on the radio, period.
Yeah,
but
I didn't like him.
I didn't like him. I've never been a fan of Rover, but that's personal reasons, I guess. And the fact that all his stories seem to be bullshit. Yeah, I got a friend, and he was on a boat, and he cut his leg off with the engine, and then he swam back. It was amazing. Shut up! It didn't happen. Fucking idiot.
Those guys were always nice to me. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of their stuff, their politics, but they were always nice to me. And in fact, they helped me tremendously when
well, that's great.
I lost my leg.
That's great. Doogie was always nice to me. I like Doogie.
I understand your thoughts, but like I'm trying to think of like the different morning shows that I was on. It was funny. Last night
was Stansberry one?
No, he did afternoons with Maxwell. So
I was checked out by then. I was just all Howard all the time. I didn't even know there was another station.
They had this show, Wolf and Mulrooney, and they were from Albany, New York, and Wolf went crazy. Like, I babysat his dog one time, or dog sat his dog, and I had to like diaper his dog. He's a weird dude. But Mulrooney was one of the funniest fucks I've ever met in my entire life. Still is one of the funniest people that I've ever seen do comedy. He was a stand-up comedian who did, he had Comic Strip Live that he did. He hosted a bunch of other different things. And last night I actually saw a clip of Joe Rogan talking to Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
And they brought up Mulrooney's name, saying that he was just, you never wanted to go after that guy because he was just that funny. And he was. He's the one I actually went to New York with and auditioned to do a show on Howard's channels with Mulrooney. John Mulrooney.
Okay.
And he was great. Crazy person again, but really, really good. I think now he's like a part-time cop and stuff. He's a nice guy. Big dude. And then they had Dick Dale in the mornings.
Oh, I remember that. Dick Dale, yeah.
He is another crazy person. I went over to his house to help him with some stuff, and he had a ball shaving kit. Like, it looked like a paintbrush thing with a tray that you'd use for like your walls or something for painting your house.
Sure.
But it was for his nuts. Like, it was literally this little tray that had this like contraption. He would like comb his ball hair and then shave it and stuff. It was fucking bizarre. He was just a weird dude again. So he left, and then it was me and Rick Everhart who did the mornings. And Rick was a funny guy, but they never were going to give him a shot.
Right.
Danny Chekalinsky, Darla, and Corey. Danny, Darla, and Corey.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Was a really, really good show. Too many people on the show. They had like 6 people all together, and it was just too much. They're the ones that named me Seth the Barbarian back in the day.
Okay.
And Danny Chekalinsky still to this day is one of the funniest fucks you're going to meet too. And
What's he doing now?
He's on Facebook a lot. I might be retired, I think, but he went to Q104 for a while. He did a lot of stuff, but he is really, really funny. And he's still in town, and like he posts a lot on Facebook. He's a funny dude, good guy. And then a couple of those guys were good too. And they were good friends of mine for a long time, still are.
Yeah,
but I was on a lot of different shows. They let me host for like 6 months.
Nice.
But again, they gave no shot at all. I mean, how are you going to even get ratings in 6 months?
Let alone against the juggernaut of all time.
Right. I mean, there was no show around me. It was me and like one other intern dude, and it was stupid.
What they should have done is, and I've always thought this, instead of trying to compete with Howard, they should have just said, okay, let's shoot for the number 2 slot.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to beat Howard, but let's give a good show for, because if you're giving a good show and you're beating Lanigan at that time.
Okay, look, if you were in the top 3 or 4, you were doing good then.
Yeah, well, I mean, you were in the top. If you were over on MMS, you were in the top 3 or 4, weren't you?
I don't know. I didn't get to see anything.
I only remember the 3 shows. I mean, what were the other shows? There was Howard, Lanigan, and Malone, and then whatever MMS was doing. There was more?
I mean, you had whatever was on TAM. They always did well with news and stuff over there.
98.5? No, that was
Howard.
That was Howard.
GAR
was 97 doing.
I don't know who they had. Again, I was kind of insulated. I was in my own little bubble back then.
Okay.
Shows. And I was just trying to keep myself there.
Right. No, I hear you there.
But then they started going,
Did you ever work with Chuck Booms?
No, but I knew Chuck Booms, and I was friendly with Chuck, and Chuck was a nice guy to me.
I liked Chuck.
He had his reputation, but
I thought his show got a really bad rap, and he said stupid things. I ain't gonna lie. He had some really dumb sports takes, but I thought that was what was good about him.
I love his shtick, man. I think he's entertaining to listen to. Personally, I've always enjoyed Chuck. And
we've had some good sports talk guys that got run out of town for no real reason. Like I always thought Kenny Rhoda was good. I always thought he was entertaining. He had dumb takes too, but that was what part of his charm was that. And I think those guys, the guys that were good at it, they knew to say dumb things on purpose so that people would call in all day and argue with them.
Booms, who is he with on 92?
Oh my God, Booms and
Kylie and Booms.
Kevin Kiley.
And I didn't think Kylie was anything. I like Booms, and again, he did some stuff up at TAM. He was up there at times, and I thought he was pretty good. I thought that for a while they were trying to figure out who the heir apparent was going to be to the Triv legacy.
Right.
And I thought that somebody like Booms would have been maybe not as a host, but definitely part of the show. Could have been good.
Yeah, they could have built themselves kind of there's enough guys locally that have enough local name recognition that you could have probably put them together to build something solid. You could have put Slats in there. You could have put Booms in it, like as a collaborative.
Right.
A little bit of Slats, a little bit of Booms.
But see what they did, they were not prepared. And they started to get prepared because believe me, I know some of the shit that went on behind the scenes there. And I know that some people there did not want Triv there anymore. I know that.
Do you think Triv would have ended up getting fired?
I know that there are people there that wanted him fired.
But, I mean, do you think that could have possibly... just because there's people that want him fired, that guy fucking bankrolled that station.
Look, I know for a fact that they put people on our show that were told that they were going to be the next ones up.
No kidding. Wow.
And that was long before Triv passed.
Right.
I mean, I should write a book.
You should. You're always looking for money ideas. There's one.
I know a lot more than what people give me credit for.
So far, you've kept your mouth shut. You've been a good soldier.
I have. And it's sometimes tough to keep my mouth shut.
Knuckleheads in the news. I remember that segment.
It was funny.
Sadly, that's just the news now.
Right. Now it's every day.
Now it's every news story every day, all day.
Top and bottom of the hour.
Yeah.
The radio business, though, is one of those. I mean, as you know, it is cutthroat. It is mean.
Oh, yeah.
There are people that you think are your friends that are right now talking shit about you.
Of course.
It sucks so bad.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't progress further. I mean, look, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. I love producing for Bob, and I love the people where I work. I think are great. But Triv did give me one. I remember sitting in my interview with Triv back in the day. And if people don't know Triv, he was the afternoon guy here and a legend in this town.
Sure.
But the interview that I had with him before I got the job was don't trust anybody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of understood because I've been in the business for 10 years before I got that job.
Right.
But he's right. I mean, now anybody in radio I look at and I go, I don't know if you're my friend or not. I'll smile around you, but you're stabbing me in the back, I guarantee you, as soon as I walk away.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's some dumb fucks out there that did that to me, and they're pieces of shit. And the problem is they're still working in the business.
Yeah.
Because you have to be that way. I'm not that way.
Dude, that's how you get ahead.
I'll get on the air today and I'll talk about Joe's and the stupid cats and stuff, but I can't stab somebody in the back. I can't. And maybe I should. If I was like that, maybe I'd be better off than I am now.
Yeah, you probably would. I know that was one of our big things, and I know you get along with them, but that was one of our big things with Rover and his crew. When I was doing the metal show, they used to just go to Kim Monroe in the mornings and just straight up lie about what we did in the studio. I mean, straight up, they would lie. They'd say, oh, those guys left the studio a mess, and there's pizza boxes everywhere. That's me at Wardlaw. And I know you guys, most of you guys don't know Matt.
I do.
But to say that Matt left a mess, Matt, that is an impossibility. This guy, Matt, I don't think I did the metal show with Matt for 12 years. And I think, no lie, Ditzer, and we did it Sunday nights. No lie, I think we ate in the studio twice. And both times were when a band brought something. We had a rhythm. Matt brought himself 2 bottles. At that point, I think it was Dr. Pepper. I brought myself 2 bottles of Gatorade. That's all we brought to the studio. That was it. So we were only there like 2-3 hours. We weren't there a long time, you know. But we kept getting called in. Kept getting called in by Kim and Rowan. She'd be like, "Well, Rover's team said you guys left the newspapers thrown all over the place and pizza box." I'm like, "What are you fucking talking about? We play 20 metal songs and we leave. We weren't reading the newspaper. You know, it's at 10 o'clock at night."
Yeah.
You know, I was like, and then we had one time that they said that we poured, and I don't even know where this came from, but this was beyond ridiculous. They said that we poured sugar on the doorknobs. And Kim was like, "Why are you guys pouring sugar all over the stage?" We were like, "What are you talking about?" "Well, those guys said that there was sugar all over the doorknobs, and you guys must have made it." And I was like, "What are you fucking talking about? We didn't do that." It's like, this is ridiculous.
Why would you do that?
It made no sense, and I don't know what, but you know, I definitely, I had my issues, and it all came to a head when Dieter tried to throw me out of the interviewing studio, and it just went really bad. But
I had
yeah,
I had my issues at MMS to start. There was one woman that worked there, and she was a girlfriend of the guy that was in charge, which is completely
that's
illegal.
a lose automatic, right?
But you know, they never really hit it. And man, she would get so pissed because back then you could smoke in the studio,
Right.
and she would get so pissed because you would just be smoking like a chimney in that place because it was cool, man. It was cool playing rock songs and
Right, sure.
you know, and lighting up a cigarette while you're sitting there at the board and doing all that kind of, it was fun. It was like, it was a dream job back then. But she would bitch like you couldn't believe. So finally the management said, "No more smoking in the studio." I wanted to beat that bitch. But then we had to smoke in this little room down the hallway. I was like,
Right.
"This is a great move." There, in that room where we were allowed to smoke, there were 8,000 albums from like the classic MMS days where they actually played record albums. I was like, "So now you're happy, forget about the studio, you're with air conditioning and filtration and all this kind of stuff. You want me in this room that have classic albums from the 70s that I can light on fire."
Yeah, and just ruin and take out 50 years of history.
But man, those days were, those old MMS days were great, man. Those
Sure.
They pulled up that board when we moved from downtown.
Yeah.
From Tower City to Oak Tree, Independence, and there was literally like just tons, like just white powder in every corner of the board. And I was talking with the engineer. He's like, "That's exactly what you think it is." He's like, "Man, we used to party in here. It was Coke, and people would just come in here and just put a bottle of Jack on the board and drink and play records all night long."
Sure.
I was like, "What the fuck? I missed it, but like that much."
Well, dude, I didn't know him, although I did meet him a few times, but I always suspected as a kid on up that BLF Bash was always partying. You know, when you would listen to BLF Bash at night, he always sounded fucked up. And
dude, he was like one of my heroes, man. I
loved him.
And Len Boom Boom Goldberg.
Yeah.
And so Boom was one of my good friends when he passed. He actually bought me stuff for my daughter when she was born, and he was a good man. I went out to breakfast and lunch and all kind of stuff with him, talked to him on the phone regularly. He was just a good guy. But BLF Bash, he would talk to me every night that I went in, every morning that I got there anyways, when I was an intern, about how he had to leave and go get some Taco Bell, man. He loved his Taco Bell.
Right.
And I remember one day I was sitting on the couch, and Spaceman Scott called me.
Okay.
Remember Spaceman Scott?
Yeah, yeah.
And he called me, and he goes, "Seth, man, I was like, yeah. Are you still going to school? I'm like, no. He's like, well, then you can't be an intern if you're not going to school. I just kept going. I didn't stop going. I mean, I was out of school for like 3 months and nobody noticed. So I just went to and kept showing up as an intern. And so he's like, so we're going to have to make a change here. Ugh. He's like, you can't just keep coming in, not getting paid.
Okay.
I said, all right, well, what do you want me to do? He's like, be here at 11 o'clock tonight.
Okay.
And he's like, we're going to hire you full time. I was like, all right. And I get up to the station, and they're there. Management's there. BLF Bash is there. And they walk him out of the building, make him clean out his locker.
They walk BLF Bash out?
And said, Seth, they're taking over overnights.
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
No. I watched him walk out the door. I think I maybe talked with him one time after that. And I became the new voice of the overnights on MMS.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. I didn't realize that you literally walked him.
I watched him get walked.
Well, you know what I mean. I mean, you.
Yeah, and
you were the
I started my radio career that night on the air, and people weren't all that happy when all of a sudden.
Oh, I bet not.
BLF Bash isn't there, and it's Seth the Barbarian.
Yeah, because Bash was hugely popular.
Hugely popular. And of course, if you look it up on Wikipedia, it has like some dude that joined the station 3 years after I started doing it.
Right.
It's so fucked up. The lack of respect that I've gotten in this industry has been unbelievable.
Well, yeah, it's because you're nice. You should have been an asshole. You could have gone further. Well, dude, just real quick, and I know Tony's waiting, so we'll play a spot, and we'll get to Tony in a minute. But this is just something that popped up this week. You know who I might be having for the show? This is a might, but it's looking good might.
Huh.
Kid Leo.
Really?
Yeah. He, I've been doing a lot of interviews and stuff for Charlie Kendall, for Charlie Kendall's Metal Shop. And he used to work at MJI at MMS and knows Kid Leo. And
that would be amazing to have him.
Mentioned it, and I was like, yes, I'll do that all day long. We'll dedicate a whole show to that.
Absolutely.
You know, that would be amazing. So it's something that's working right now. But
keep me posted on that.
Fingers crossed, because that would be very cool. So. All right, look, one spot, and then we'll come back with Tony.
Sounds like a plan, my friend.
All right, we will do a shared window cleaning. How's that?
Sounds like even better.
Here we go.
Seth Williams loves this land, stands tall and proud. Believes in freedom, speaks his mind out loud. Mentored by Trip, he learned to be tough. Life knocked him down, but he got back up. Lost a leg, but he's still strong and true. Chasing dreams under skies of red, white, and blue. Voting for Trump, he shouts it clear. WTAM tried to bring him down, but he's still here. In the heart of America, Seth takes a stand. Against the tides, he defends our land. Liberals call him crazy, but he don't care. He's got the spirit of an eagle, soaring high in the air. Hates LeBron James, won't wear that crown. Prefers hard work and blue jeans in this town. Radio waves try to shut him up, but Seth keeps singing, filling that cup. From the small town streets to the mountain high, Seth sees the flag waving, reaching for the sky. He keeps on fighting with a rebel yell, for every fallen soldier and the stories they tell. In the heart of America, Seth takes a stand. Against the tides, he defends our land. Liberals call him crazy, but he don't care. He's got the spirit of an eagle, soaring high in the air. Seth sees the flag waving, reaching for the sky. He keeps on fighting with a rebel yell, for every fallen soldier and the stories they tell. In the heart of America, Seth takes a stand. Against the tides, he defends our land. Liberals call him crazy, but he don't care. He's got the spirit of an eagle, soaring high in the air.
Attention metalheads! Want to rep the classic metal show everywhere you go? Head to the CMS store and grab some killer swag. Whether it's coffee cups, t-shirts, wall art, or even phone cases, we've got you covered with all things CMS, featuring our iconic logo and badass mascot Rex. Don't miss out. Visit cmsstore.cmspn.com today. Support the show, show off your style, and rock on with the classic metal show.